Here we go. What's cooking good lookins? My name's Sydney Metter and I am a penguin. Yeah, so today I'm dressed like a penguin because I'm trying to do something original and also because my hair looks terrible. So let's get started. Hi guys, and welcome to another day of Vlog-o-ween. Today I'm going to be talking about 10 of my favorite October movies. So most of these are Halloween movies, but there are a few that are just like October-y, and you'll understand what I mean when I get to them. It's one in particular that you just have to watch on a certain day in October. Y'all know where I'm going with this. Oh my god. That sounded so Texan. That was disgusting. No. Okay, so these aren't in any particular order. I kind of just made this list because I thought it was a good variety of movies. There are some comedies, some like kids movies, some old movies, some new movies. Just, I thought there was a really good variety, so maybe there's something in here for everyone. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about the movies. So, you know, if you haven't heard of it, but you really like horror comedies, you can be like, oh, that sounds like something I'd like, I'll watch it. But you've probably seen most of these, they're pretty popular movies. So the first movie is Donnie Darko. Now again, this isn't in any particular order, but Donnie Darko is one of my favorite movies ever. Now I chose this movie because while yes, the ending does take place on Halloween, or I think the day before Halloween actually, the whole movie takes place in October, and you know this because they are constantly showing the date because it's like a countdown sort of thing. So I think like you're constantly reminded that it's October. It feels like fall, it feels like Halloween, and it's kind of like a psychological, not thriller, it's a very interesting movie. If you like movies that are very ambiguous and very original and very weird, then you're gonna love Donnie Darko. Okay, next is The Nightmare Before Christmas. The Nightmare Before Christmas is an obvious choice because it is not only a very Halloween movie, but it's also a very Christmas movie. So it's something that you can watch anywhere from October to December and not get criticized by society. But we're not gonna get into that right now. Anyways, in case you haven't heard of A Nightmare Before Christmas, it is a stop-motion animation written by Tim Burton. It wasn't directed by him, but it does feel very Tim Burton-esque. So if you're a fan of Tim Burton's films, then you're definitely gonna like this movie. It's a musical, so it's got some really great songs. I think it was made by Disney, so it's basically just a Disney musical for kids infused with Tim Burton. So if you like either of those things, or both of those things, then you're gonna love this movie. And another movie for the youngsters, don't know why I said that. You probably really liked this movie as a child if you grew up in the 90s, because this movie is Hocus Pocus, which to be honest, and you know this if you've seen my vlog from last weekend, I just watched it all the way through for the first time, so I don't have that sentimental value as most people my age would, because I know most of my friends grew up watching this every October, so it's a big classic with people my age. So if you are my age, you've probably seen Hocus Pocus, and if not, it's still really good when you're my age because it really feels like Halloween feels when you're younger. You know, when you're a kid and like Halloween, it's not really like scary or creepy yet. It's just like a fun time to have candy and be goofy with all your weird costumes, but also it is a little bit creepy. I feel like this movie just really embodies all of those things that you loved about Halloween or felt about Halloween as a child. So even if you didn't grow up watching it, it is very sentimental and reminiscent of your childhood, in my opinion. Okay, so this next one is a major oldie but a goodie. It's Young Frankenstein, which isn't really a horror movie at all. It's entirely a comedy. It's a Gene Wilder comedy, and obviously he is absolutely hilarious and makes really good movies. Also, Mel Brooks is the director, and obviously the two of them together are one of the great power duos of Hollywood history. So this movie is a comedy about Frankenstein's, I think his son, might be his grandson, but he has like his own scientific career, and he kind of doesn't like his father/grandfather, I don't remember, because he's, you know, got kind of a bad name. But anyways, he has to go to his, I'm just gonna say grandfather, his grandfather's laboratory in Transylvania, and he actually succeeds in making this monster, blah 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 blah. I'm not gonna give away the whole plot of the movie, but it is really funny, and it's just kind of a goofy version of the whole Frankenstein story, the Hollywood version, because the book is very different, but again, we're not gonna get into that now. October 3rd, yes, this is what you've been waiting for. October 3rd, Mean Girls. Every October 3rd, you gotta watch Mean Girls. October 3rd, in case you haven't seen Mean Girls, is the day that Aaron Samuels asked Katie what day it was. It's a very, very small, insignificant part of the movie, but because every line that people quote in that movie is insignificant and small, somehow it has become an entire thing where people actually call October 3rd Mean Girls Day. So yeah, it's kind of a big deal in our society for some reason. But obviously this isn't really a Halloween movie, you know, like this is something that has a Halloween scene in it, but it's not necessarily a Halloween movie. It's just like a teen comedy, but it is something you should watch in October if you are a fan and like to be a part of inside jokes that kind of span the entire culture. So the next one is the third Harry Potter movie. Now, obviously, all of the Harry Potter movies sort of have like Halloween-esque vibes. You know, you got witches and wizards and pumpkins and spells and broomsticks. I mean, you can watch any Harry Potter movie over Halloween, but in my opinion, this is probably the most Halloween-y Harry Potter movie because it has Alfonso Cuarón. I don't know if I pronounced that well, but he's the director, and he really gave it a more eerie, dark vibe than the first two had. And obviously he only directed that one. So after he left, the new director, David Yates, I think, or he might have just been the last few. Anyways, after he left, it kind of went back to not as creepy and eerie. Like, Alfonso just had a really unique look and style that he brought to it, and that style really works as a Halloween-y style. So the next movie is actually a remake, which I don't always recommend, but this one I'm going to. Fright Night, which came out a few years ago, and I know the original one is from the 80s. Full disclosure, I haven't seen the original one. I watched the new one because Anton Yelchin is one of my favorite actors, and I loved it so much I didn't really feel the need to watch the old one. It just didn't seem like it would be as good because I loved the new one so much. But don't listen to me, like, obviously go watch the one from the 80s as well, but I can't vouch for that one because I haven't seen it. The new one though is really good. It's funny, it's scary, and I just think it's got a really good story that kind of plays on like classic horror themes, but is very renewed and fresh and original, even though it's a remake. But I would recommend watching it, so you do that. So the next one that I'm going to recommend is Scream, which I really like because it's a kind of a typical teen slasher film, but it's very meta in the sense that they don't know that they're in a horror movie, but they do talk about other horror movies and say this is what would happen if this were a horror movie, or you're the character that dies in the end, or don't announce you're leaving the room because you'll never come back, and blah 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 blah. It just really plays on themes and cliches of old horror movies while not announcing that it itself is a horror movie, even though we all know as the audience that it is. I just really like meta films. I think that they're very clever and kind of funny and kind of make you think about all the things that they're doing to be meta and have that kind of extra edge. So I just really like Scream for that reason. But also it does have a really good story, and I think that the ending says a lot about horror movies in society in a way. I just think It's a good movie for a lot of reasons. It is a slasher film, but it goes above and beyond just that. So if you haven't seen Scream, for whatever reason, I highly, highly recommend watching that movie. So the next one I put on my list is Halloween, the original one from the 70s. Now I put this one because obviously it's entitled Halloween, and it came out before a lot of the other slasher movies of the 80s because it came out in 79 or 78, I don't know for sure. But it came out in the late 70s, so it preceded a lot of the slasher films of the 80s. But really, I just wanted to include an old slasher film on this list because obviously those were a big deal when our parents were young, or if you were the age of my parents when you were young. But even when I put Halloween on this list, I really just think that watching any old slasher movies from the 70s or the 80s is a really good idea because they kind of became a huge part of the horror genre and a huge part of culture in Halloween. So I think it's just a really good idea to go back and watch those, even though they have a lot of remakes now. And like I said, I enjoy Fright Night because I watched that one, but I don't really like watching remakes in general, so I haven't seen a lot of the new remakes of these, but I have seen the old ones. But really, if you want to watch Halloween or Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street, any of those kinds of movies, I think it would be a really good idea because they just really scream Halloween for me. Scream Halloween, because like screaming on Halloween is like a thing. Whew boy. Okay, so last but certainly not least is It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. So I have a few kind of kids movies on this list, but this is obviously one you have to include because Charlie Brown and the Peanuts movies have classics on pretty much every single holiday. So you kind of have to include this on any list for any holiday, even though a lot of old movies have, you know, continued to become popular through different generations. I think this just hits a new level because I know that myself and a lot of people my age remember this from our childhood. It reminds us of our childhood, but I think it really connects the generations because it has been out for a long time. So a lot of my parents or my friends' parents have watched this as a kid. So we can all say like, oh, It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. That's like a really good movie from my childhood. And it's just very cute and funny, and Snoopy is adorable. So I recommend that one for sure. Okay, so that was my list of 10 October movies, and I challenge all of you to watch them all sometime this month. And if you do, comment down below that you got it done. And also, if you have any ideas for other great Halloween movies or October-y movies to watch, then go ahead and put them down in the comments as well because I really want to hear if you guys have any other suggestions for me to watch or if anyone else is reading through the comments stuff that they could watch. Basically, just comment your favorite Halloween movie. Also, if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. I'm trying to do a video every day in October, so if you are interested in seeing more videos like these, I'm doing some more creative stuff than just me sitting here talking to you guys about movies. Although there are a couple more that are just me sitting here, I'm trying to do some really creative stuff. So go ahead and subscribe if you want to see those, and I look forward to seeing you later. Until next time, peace out, Girl Scouts!